Welcome to Amundson Family Podcast, number 25, and it's special not only for being number 25, but for having a very special woman on here. And it took a lot of negotiating to get this lady on here, and don't worry, we have your caviar in the back, and your car is waiting outside, and everything is perfect according to the contract. So we've got it all figured out.
It better be.
So if anyone doesn't know, this is my wife and the kids' mom, Christina. And she's the reason why we're in Oklahoma, because she was born and raised right across the road. Do you remember when you moved into that place? Like, what was your first thoughts when you came to Shakota, Oklahoma? Because you were in Colorado before that. You were how old? Tell us a little bit about just that move from Colorado to Shakota, Oklahoma, and now you're back here.
A little bit.
A little bit.
You don't know me very
Can
well.
you? Well, I know you plenty. That's why I'm shaking in my boots.
I'm related to my mother. My dad would always say,
how about...
Mom has to tell every little detail of a story.
Maybe there's some sign I could give you on whether to cut it off
Okay.
without being rude.
A little bit. I mean,
Okay, well,
I was 8 years
help me
old.
out. Okay, you were born in Stillwater, Oklahoma, but then your family moved to Colorado, where your dad had work.
At a junior college.
Yeah, at a junior college.
Lamar Community College, LCC.
Okay, and then he ended up getting work at Connors Community College here near Warner, in Warner. And so you guys moved here to near the town of Shakota. All right, in comes you. How old were you?
I was 8 years old, summer between second grade and third grade. And I stayed back in Colorado, and my parents came here and moved. And so they moved all my things, picked out my bedroom, which was good.
What did you say? They left you in Colorado? You and your brother?
They left us somewhere, and then they moved here. They moved all our things because they thought it'd be easier without
How
children.
come we never thought about moving without our kids?
Yeah.
Like what an idea is that? Grammy and Papa G, if you're watching, I'm just kidding. So he had to start work, obviously.
Yeah, that was a summer. I don't really remember much except missing my best friend Kimberly and crying a lot.
Well, that's a big move to make when you're 8 years old.
So I don't really remember much except being sad and then starting school, and on the first day of school finding my best friend for life, Dee Dee Harding.
Oh, really? So right away you met Dee Dee. That's funny. You talk about Dee Dee. I know we talk about not mentioning names on this, but we were testing bulls today over at Stigler, and we had a really big conversation about Gary. And
Harding.
What a great man. And so we're lucky to have some really great people in our community, Gary Harding being one of them. And he was a part of the Connors group, who your dad looked over.
I believe it was his first year too, moving there. So Dr. Westbrook, Fred Williams, Mr. Harding, and so his daughter, Dee Dee, didn't have any friends. And there she was, first day of school, crying in a little place by the front entrance of the door. And I found her, and we were instant friends.
I get the idea that you were a lot like Anna in that you noticed people that were hurting and you went and you were drawn to them. And you still are. Yeah. So you met Dee Dee, you started getting used to things around here. And
Yeah, I can't remember it being a huge change because I was so little, and I suppose I was friendly.
you suppose?
I suppose. We lived on campus for a while, and then I guess my parents were looking for a house, and we found one. We had it renovated, and I was ready to move in.
This one here.
This one. And Dad drove me back and forth for a little bit until the next year, 5th grade. I moved transferred over to Shakota schools.
Oh, you started school in Warner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we moved there before third grade and went to school there, third grade and fourth grade, while we were living on campus. But we must have bought this house, and fourth grade year, he drove me back and forth
Okay.
from here to Warner, since he worked at Warner anyway.
Right. So you were in this house near Shakota from 8 years old to whatever, 18 years old when you graduated, and then took your schooling and did all kinds of places. Did you ever think that you would be in Canada for 20 years?
No, never had that thought. One thing I can clearly remember, fifth grade in Shakota, that was my first year. We were in portables because we had outgrown our school, and we had a science teacher. We switched classes. At those times, we had those projectors that showed movies.
I remember.
Dates us.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking of lots of other things those teachers use, like those vis-a-vis, the projectors where they have those plastic papers and they lay it down flat, and then they have a light and it projects onto the board. So she showed a science movie, and it had the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. And that's basically all I knew about Canada, was that it had Northern Lights. So no, I never once thought that I would be moving north, because Dr. Westbrook was one of my dad's, well, he was the boss at Connors. His wife taught Spanish, and I was just destined to be in her class, of course. And thankfully, I had a knack for languages, picked it up pretty nicely. Just had a really great opportunity in sixth grade to start early. I think most everyone else started in seventh grade, so I was the only sixth grader in that class. Felt pretty special, and started right away, so that when I speak Spanish, I don't have an accent, because they say
Like,
that
you don't have a Spanish accent?
I don't have a
Like
native accent. I don't have a southern drawl when I speak Spanish, because they say that when you begin a language earlier, there's something in your brain that closes up after puberty. And I started learning Spanish early enough that I didn't pick up the local accent either. And when I speak Spanish, I don't speak with an accent.
Well, I'm not going to embarrass you, but I love when you speak Spanish. So maybe we shouldn't do that right here.
No,
but what
he
I
might turn red.
what I get a kick of is you spoke Spanish and you really had a heart for missions. And so Christina always tells me about how she always thought she would end up in Mexico or somewhere in Central America doing missions. And instead, she ended up doing missions in Canada.
Yes, this boy, he needs a missionary every day of his life. He's such a heathen.
Did you ever save me?
But yeah, so I imagine myself going south, not north.
I was always a lover of the North. And there's something about the North that is really captivating. I mean, anyone who goes to Alaska never regrets it.
Very pristine.
And you don't get these hot summers here. Anyways, we won't get into the hot summers. Sonora and I have already been through several podcasts talking about the weather here. Which today, it was like 30 degrees Celsius. It's beautiful out. I'm starting to get used to the weather a little bit. I never thought I would. Here's a thing. Never say never, because you'll end up you'll end up changing your mind if you follow the leading of the Lord, because I think He has a wonderful sense of humor. And if He catches you saying, I will never, chances are He'll work things out that you just might. You have found that. So we met in the summer of 1999.
Right.
You came
July.
up to a church camp in North Battleford, the same camp that we still go to. And we met, and we pretty much knew something was going on.
Little flicker.
A little flicker and a little fuel, and
A little fuel. Most every lady, and I didn't know very many people, older lady would come up to me and say, he's a really nice young man. He comes from a really good family. I didn't even know these people.
I don't know how much I had to pay for them to say that. I don't know how many ladies I paid off. But anyways, the feeling was mutual. So we met in summer of 1999, and we married in the spring, March of 2000.
Engaged in January.
Yeah.
6 months later.
So that's a story all in itself, which I think we'll wait for that whole story for another podcast. Because
We're going to have to dig up that story your sister wrote about the evil monster, the border person, and the king and the queen.
Oh boy, do we have some border stories.
Oh, yes.
I just got my Oklahoma driver's license yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and if Jeremy from DPS is watching, thank you for overlooking a few things. Thanks for that.
He is actually a really good driver. Nobody in the U.S. should be scared at all. But it was just, those hoops that you have to follow through with the government.
Surprising, Canada and U.S. have great relations. We're so close. But my goodness, are they totally different countries? And they don't, they don't jive. They don't jive. He couldn't find, when he wanted to put where I was from, there was nowhere to put that I was from Saskatchewan. He had to say that I was from North Dakota.
Other.
Yeah, other. They didn't even have other. They just American. Okay. I shouldn't say this because I know if I get you started politically, you won't stop.
I warned you.
So here's, I'm going to say this. It's just, I saw a video the other day and it shows the difference between America, like the United States, and Canada. And I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to say what the video said. The USA was founded by revolution, and Canada was founded by what's the word he used? Obedience. It's true. So I'm not going to say a word about that, and please just leave it there. But you and I will talk about that later because I found it really interesting. It really speaks to the attitudes of the different countries, and I'm not saying which one's right or wrong. I mean, they're just different. But they were born out of different stuff.
Yeah, when you've walked a while in our shoes, then you'll understand why we are the way we are.
Oh, and I didn't realize that totally till I actually moved here. You would think that marrying an American would be no problem.
Yeah, osmosis. You just understand me. You just get me, but no, you don't.
No, there's a whole lot of differences between an American and a Canadian. And so it's been an interesting time of working out things.
And plus, I had a grandpa, two grandpas and a dad who were both military men.
Yeah.
And that really makes a ton of difference, I think.
Yeah, where the military life is foreign to most people in Canada. So anyways, you said you had a song to read. Do you want me to get that for you?
It was the one that you sang.
I sang that a couple weeks ago. Here, I'll get it for you.
There were just some words that were coming to me before the podcast, and I thought, yeah, this is good.
So I got to say that it took a fair bit of convincing to get Christina on here. But if you like her being on here, and if you think she's just one cool lady, how about you mention that in the comments or email us at amundsonfamilymusic@gmail.com. Tell us what you think. Tell us how we're doing.
And please don't comment on my voice. I have a teacher voice.
Oh, we never got into what you're doing right now.
Well, I'm currently employed with Shakota Public Schools, and I'm teaching special ed. I'm teaching severe profound. I have a great bunch of kids. And I always said when I was even in education before Daryl and I met, I read those books and took that class about special ed and thought, Yeah, that's not my thing. I am not that talented. I'm not that kind of person to be able to teach handicapped children, which in those days, that's what we called them, special needs. But never say never, right?
Never. Hey, what did I say? Well, all I know is it takes a pretty special lady to do what you're doing.
Well,
And so kudos to you,
it is God,
who works
the
all
Lord
things.
of Lords,
Yeah.
who has brought me to this place, because not by myself.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, this little line in your song, narrow, that then you'll overlook the blindness of narrow-minded people on the narrow-minded streets. And I was thinking about how that, we see a lot of things on TV, and we hear a lot of reports. And even today at school, I had to grit my teeth about some things that I saw on stage. But I just was thinking about that story. Maybe a lot of you have heard it, where there's a man, or could be a woman, on a subway riding, and there's some people who get on, and children are obnoxious. They're running around, they're playing, they're pulling on their dad, and they're just your typical unruly children who just needs a firm hand. And the person next to them is thinking, oh, why can't he control his children? And so you're just about to say something when the man looks up from his he's got his hands buried in his head, and he says, I'm so sorry. He said, we just come from the hospital, and we just lost our mother. The kid just lost their mother, and I just don't know what we're going to do. You remember that story?
Well, yeah. So there's a reason, maybe, the way some people act sometimes. Is
right,
that the
right.
point?
So instead of being narrow-minded, we need to be broad-minded and see the big picture. When my students at school talk about negatively a certain group of people, I have to remind them that those students, those people that you've come in contact with, are mimicking what they're seeing on TV.
Yeah.
They're mimicking what they're seeing in their home on video games and things. So we've got to pray for them, and we've got to try to understand that they are just doing what they think they should do.
Yeah, love them
for sure. So if you see a brother standing by the road with a heavy load, the seeds he sowed, and if you see your sister fallen by the way, just stop and say, you're going the wrong way. And that is to me what the students can do. I, as a teacher, can't say, you need to get saved. I can't really say that, but I can say to my students, well, you have Jesus in your heart. You could go talk to that student and tell them what you have.
Well, that's one way around it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, the other day I heard some students, I was in the other room, and I heard one of them say, well, Jesus told me to be kind.
Oh.
And I thought, what's going on in there?
Well, hey.
And he said, Jesus told me to be kind to him or her, whoever it was. And then I started listening more intently, and then he said, and then a girl, a student of mine, piped up, and she said, yeah, because we have Jesus in our heart, and we need to get baptized too.
Oh, wow.
I was thinking, I've got some evangelists in my class.
You've been preaching to them over there, have you?
So I really love the words of this song.
Well, I won't sing it again. If you want to hear that song, it is on our YouTube channel. You can go look at it.
Last week.
Last week or the week before, I just forget. But we do have a song, and Anna Lynn's going to come and take over Mom's mic just for a little while. And this is a song that we've always sung. I think it's a Bill Gaither song. You have a song, and I think you have a verse that will just tap things off.
Yep.
You got it?
Should I lower this?
Sure, a little bit. Okay.
Gentle shepherd, come and lead us, for we need you to help us find our way. Gentle shepherd, come and feed us, for we need your strength from day to day. There's no other we can turn to who can help us face another day. Gentle shepherd, come and lead us, for we need you to help us find our way. There's no other we can turn to who can help us face another day. Gentle shepherd, come and lead us, for we need you to help us find our way.
That was lovely, Anna. Thank you for that song.
Thanks.
Gentle Shepherd. That's a wonderful prayer to pray every day.
And I have a verse now.
Oh, great.
So this is my verse for fun day.
First Sunday.
Sunday morning.
So maybe you should mention about what do you have a verse for Sunday morning for?
Well, every Sunday teenagers and below, so 13 and below, we're supposed to memorize a verse or sing a song or like play an instrument. But so every Sunday I try and memorize a verse. So this is mine for this week.
Yeah, we encourage those in our local assembly, our local church, to all have something prepared, and even the kids. And so they get an opportunity to minister. And we believe that God helps you choose those verses. And it's a real blessing to us when you say your verse every Sunday morning.
And I was actually reading my devotions and my cat lover's devotion. And I was just looking at the cat pictures. But then I found this verse and I really liked it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Colossians 3, verse 23 and 24. Work willingly at whatever you do as though you were working for the Lord rather than people. Remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward, and that the master you are serving is Christ.
Wonderful verse. Now that doesn't apply to cleaning your room, right? I'm kidding.
I hope not.
So when mom and dad tell you to clean your room, then you're actually doing that for God. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when you're doing your chores or singing a song.
Feeding your animals.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Anna. That's a wonderful verse.
Yeah. Oh, I think I have some other things. Jokes.
Do you have a joke? We haven't had a joke from you in weeks.
That's why I prepared 5.
Okay.
One after another. Okay. What did the ocean say to the other ocean?
I'm waving at you.
Not exactly.
Nice to see you.
No, that's a good one.
Okay, I don't know.
Nothing. It just waved.
You were close.
Okay. So, do you want to hear a construction joke?
Sure.
Sorry, I'm still working on it. Okay. Actually, just last Sunday, because on Sunday evening, we have our movie night. And we watched Peter Pan.
Yeah.
The new one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter Pan lovers. Why is Peter Pan always flying?
Why is Pete? I have no idea.
Because he never lands. I love this joke because it never grows old.
That's a good one.
Okay. Did you hear the rumor about butter going around?
Butter?
Butter
Yeah.
going around?
Wait a minute. I shouldn't spread it.
Oh, honey, you did a good job. Those are good.
One more.
Okay.
How many tickles does it take to get an octopus to laugh? Yes, 0 for you.
Yeah. I don't know.
10 tickles.
10 tickles, right?
Oh. Good job, Anna Lynn, on the jokes, the verse, and the song. Thank you so much, hun. Come up here, and we'll say goodbye.
We need the symbols.
I'll tell you what, I shouldn't have been surprised. We got you on here, and it's the longest podcast we've ever had. Oh, just you wait. She was restraining herself. But thank you for coming on, honey. I appreciate it, and hope it's not the last.
I'm not fired after this.
Oh, of course not. This is great. I've been waiting for this. So, meet my wife, Christina, and now you know how our kids are so wonderful. All right. Bye. See you next time.